A lot of the kids have never left the state, and a lot of these kids haven't had a chance to meet kids outside their neighborhood, let alone halfway across the country.
Without this experience, they just kind of stay around, right? So with wrestling and Beat the Streets in this trip, we're showing these kids that there is a bigger world out there, rather than just like where they live in a small pocket of Philadelphia.
Inside of Baltimore City is still largely segregated. So I think our trip provides diversity for many kids in our program, and getting outside is life-changing.
Being here in Chicago, I feel like it's opened my eyes to like different possibilities. Like no one here is the same. We have similar stories, but we're not the same people.
North of 50% of our kids have never been on a plane before. None of them have ever been to an overnight camp before. Some of these kids have never left their immediate area.
They might look back 10 years, 20 years from now, thinking about this moment and how it impacted their lives.
Good morning, Bradley.
Bradley, he loves to beat the streets because it provides him a safe space. It gives him a positive environment to form a positive identity.
I'm trying to own the circle. I'm trying to move this guy out. I push. Once I start getting...
I'm pretty nervous again.
You are? What are you nervous about?
I'd be nervous when I wrestle. At any tournament, I'd just be nervous. So just let it pass by, gotta get ready.
Bradley, he's one of those guys it's hard to not like him.
Remember, deep breath. If you hold your breath, you will suffer.
He's kind of an outgoing but a shy guy at the same time. I first met him because I saw him next to Dan Gable at last year's camp, and Bradley was right next to him in the picture, and everybody else was just far away from him. So that's how I first met Bradley.
The first time I saw that kid, I said, "Who's this kid with the huge smile?" And he comes up to me and he like hugs me the first time he meets me. It's just an amazing kid.
Yeah, it's a vibe here. Everywhere I go and meet people, I feel like it's a vibe. I get comfortable.
I'm showing you guys every time basics. They always work, fail safe, never get you in trouble. You see how my head, I'm teed off on her? I call this my fifth limb, right? My head and my neck, it's a strong muscle.
One thing that really stands out to me about Julie is she seems genuinely joyful for the opportunity to wrestle.
So let's try that with a partner. Do it twice, bring it back in. 1, 2, 3.
No one here is the same. We have similar stories, but we're not the same people.
Drive. You don't need any coaching. You got everything down.
Last year, we assigned Julie to be the captain, and she enjoyed it, but she was very reserved. She didn't speak up. I think this year, I see her now breaking out of her shell. She's going out to talk to new people. She's meeting people from other cities. She was able to grow as a person and say, I'm gonna be a leader.
What we realize is the stuff that really enriches their lives is our experiences together and new experience. When you can mix those things, and when kids have access to these things, they are so compelled to grow from that. There was a 90 million person sample study. The big thing that came out of this study. Personal and socioeconomic growth is 100% related to access to other communities and cultures. So that means access to different socioeconomic backgrounds, access to different races, access to different cultures. ASICS kind of came down and said, you're doing the work that we all are talking about. We're going to support this and we're going to enable it and we're going to empower it.
It's become not just how do we get a kid a pair of shoes at a cheap price or some headgear. It became how do we create an experience through this partnership.
We wanted to make this a community building experience and a cultural excursion and have our youth exposed to things that they're not seeing in their cities and their neighborhoods.
The goal is financially and geographically accessible, outstanding programs that you can come into. You can find, get your first wrestling shoes, find a sport, a family, a community that eventually will be life-changing.
Wow, this is tough. This is nice.
A couple years ago at Virginia Beach, we had a kid who had never seen the ocean, and we were out on the beach playing volleyball, and this kid's just staring at the ocean, and we didn't know why, and he was watching the sun come up. Things like that they're things I don't think about.
Being here in Chicago, I think it's opened my eyes to like different possibilities. Like there's people who've been through a lot, and Beat the Streets has helped us to get out the streets and forget about everything.
Maybe 80 or 90% of the kids and coaches that I asked on that boat ride, have you ever been on a boat like this? Probably 80 or 90% of them said, I've never been on a boat. And watching all of those kids dance together, and they were swaying this giant boat. There was kids from 10 cities there, 11 cities there, right? All on the floor together, and it was just magic. They can see a future for themselves that is different than what they know. This actually moves the needle for kids.
Thank you, Beat the Streets.